Hey all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian Guy, and welcome to Wrestlesode, the solution to your wrestling information problems. Wrestlesode is a member of the Win Column Sports Network, so remember to check us out at wincolumnsports.ca to be kept up to date on everything happening in Alberta in the world of wrestling. Today we are talking the Clandestine Society Act I. It is now officially over, and it was so incredibly good, but I really cannot talk all about this on my own because there's just too much good. I need to share it with somebody. So let me introduce my friend Paul from the YYC Wrestling Hub. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Anthony?
Oh, I'm so good. How was your weekend, man?
I don't know where to start. It was it was an unbelievable event.
Right?
Incredible wrestling. Got to meet a whole bunch of cool people. And I was sad to come back home to Calgary, which I don't say very often leaving Edmonton.
Hey, everybody listening to this, we're a couple of Calgary boys here, so we're sorry, but we're the pro Calgary guys. Anyways, but I feel the exact same way. I was like, does it really have to be over? And I mean, the card was what, like 4 hours, 45 minutes or something like that. It didn't feel like that at all, right?
It really didn't. But I mean, they broke it up really well with the 2 intermissions.
Yeah,
so
they really, yeah.
It gave a lot of time to be able to recover from some of the insanity that we saw preceding those.
That's true. And I mean, to be completely fair, like,
and in the case of the final match, prepare ourselves. It really was. There wasn't any match that I felt went too long. There were certain matches I wish went a little bit longer, like maybe 5 to 6 minutes longer, but I was really happy with how the show was paced.
Well, I mean, even think about that. You add another like 5 or 6 minutes to it. That would have been a 5-hour card, and I still wouldn't have even noticed. It'd be completely over. When it was over, I was like, can we just hit rewind and watch it again? Because that was just so good. Anyways, we should actually probably talk about the show a little bit. But before we do just want to say quickly that unfortunately one of the stars at the show was injured during this. It was just unfortunate accidents. Things happen even to the best of people. So Dr. Kyoto, we wish you a quick recovery. There is a link to his GoFundMe. I'll have it available in the description below, but he's an awesome guy and he's such a good talent. And, and if you remember, he was my pick to win the clusterfuck. It's not a clusterfuck tribute match because he is undefeated. And you know what? Unfortunately, he has a bit of an injury because of this match. He is still undefeated, right, Paul?
Absolutely. He wasn't officially eliminated from the match.
Yeah. So,
I'm counting this one as a draw for him.
There you go. Undefeated still, no defeats. And still
no
100%
pins, no submissions.
Exactly. He's a hero around here, but if anybody is listening to this, if you have a couple bucks to contribute to him, it goes a long way, and we hope you a speedy recovery there, Dr. Kyoto. But besides that, what a good show, right? Like, it was like a small blemish on what you would call otherwise like a perfect, like, sunshiny day in a dark room at night. That's
a dark room in a warehouse.
Exactly. But what a great venue, really. It fit the card, right? Like, it felt perfect.
It's a perfect venue for that kind of show. Right,
especially
you want it to be a little gritty and underground.
Yeah, especially with that death match, it felt perfect for the death match.
That death match was sick too.
We'll get to that death match. I think we'll talk about it right at the very end. Obviously, we'll go in the order of the card because I think that's just a great way to start. So let's go off right at the beginning. We started the show with our tag match, the Above Average Joes up against Cody Chimera and Chris Parrish. So this was just a great way to start this show. I think this was just a perfect lead-in match.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I'm sure everyone knows how I feel about the Above Average Joes if they've ever read my Twitter account. I think they're 2 guys that are proper main event talents, and they're in probably the best tag team in Canada. I'd put them up against anyone.
I mean, you know what? I completely agree. I think the Above Average Joes are just a top-notch talent. I didn't vote for them in the 2019 Tag Team of the Year because I voted for the league, but I mean, I had to. But the Above Average Joes are so good. Kenny Stryker and Aiden Adams. I've got their headband upstairs. It's a part of my collection when it comes to the local scene around here. They're just, man, are they such a good tag team, dude. Like, they just work so well together.
Yeah, They're fantastic singles competitors. They're fantastic tag competitors. They're two of my favorite guys in PWA, and I was really happy to see them on this show.
Oh, me too. And let's talk a little bit about Cody Chimera and Chris Parrish here. So I was telling everybody, this is my first Cody Chimera match live. Obviously, I've watched videos of him online, but I had never actually watched him wrestle live before. This was my first introduction to him. And I completely understand why everybody was voting for him as Breakout Star of the Year. He is a very amazing talent for only being like, what, you said a year into this?
Yeah, so the first time I saw him was January or February earlier this year. And he was working, I think it was like a multi-man battle royale was the first time I saw him. And the fact that 12 months later, here he is as a top talent from RCW, representing RCW on this show, really goes to show how good he is and how far he's come in a year.
Yeah, and he worked really well with Chris Parrish, and I got to give this to Chris Parrish. He was amazing at working the crowd. This is obviously his first match back since his injury. He had a broken kneecap. He's obviously recovered from that, but he is so good at working that crowd. You could see like the 15 years experience that he's definitely got in that ring.
Definitely. I want to see more of those two as a team.
I thought the same thing. They have a really good look. Don't you agree? When they first came out, I was like, oh, I like these guys. Like, this is really cool.
You look at them and, sometimes there's tag teams that are just two guys thrown together and you don't really see the cohesiveness. But those two, you saw it right as they were entering.
Yeah, they worked really well together. I liked that spot, especially so it started off with Cody and Aiden Adams in the match, and it was going back and forth for quite a while. It took a while before Chris Parrish actually got tagged in, but when Chris first got tagged in, and I believe, who was he talking to? I think it was Kenny Stryker, but they started just insulting back and forth until he demanded a beer from the audience because he wanted to chug it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as somebody brought him a beer, he goes to the side. Cody grabs his beer and just hucks it at the ground. So we're in the front row. It lands right in front of us. And if you remember, it spikes it in front of us, and the beer just comes right into me. I grab it, I pick up the beer, and you're telling me to chug it. I'm like, hell no, it just smacked the ground.
Why wouldn't you chug it?
Because hey, I was trying to take notes, and I didn't drink it all that night. I'll be 100% honest.
Even if half the beer spilled, man, that's half a free beer.
Well, that's not true. I did have one beer that night. Well, that's fair, but I was still just trying to enjoy the show. But I still had a beer, I think, 2 matches later. So dildo on a pole match, I had a beer. So thankfully, that was so much fun. But anyways, yeah, so this Above Average Joes versus Cody Chimera and Chris Parrish, it was just a great lead-in match. I would say the match, it felt like an appropriate amount of time. It told a good story. There was some good crowd work. I think, they got the crowd riled up for the first match, and the first match went to Cody Chimera and Chris Parrish pinning the Above Average Joes, which that was a really great story.
Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised to see a little bit of storytelling in the ring. Whenever there's a wrestling show that's promoted as quote unquote just wrestling, I always get a little bit nervous that they're going to kind of throw away psychology, throw away telling a story within the ring and just go for it, there's a time and place for that. But I was really pleased with the story that they told in all of these matches, really.
Oh, absolutely. I think the storytelling in this was absolutely top notch. I mean, there's no storylines, I would say, show to show, but the storytelling from match to match was definitely there. So
absolutely.
The next match here, I've my memory is serving correctly, was the dildo on a pole match.
Yeah. Mike McSugar, Dylan Stone.
Okay, so let's start off right at the beginning here. You got a lap dance by Mike McSugar during his entrance.
Absolutely did. He smells great too, by the way.
Oh, he's got a good smell. I would hope so, because of the kind of thing that he did to What About Ivan right there at the start of the match. I think he would need to smell really nice. But let's talk a little bit about this.
I didn't have his crotch in my face, thankfully, but he gave me the lap dance, and you can't complain.
You were really into it. I have it on video. I got that personal video there. Oh, yeah, you got to embrace it. In a match like this, there has to be no shame. And I'm just going to come out straight and say this. Mike McSugar and Dylan Stone, you couldn't have had two better guys doing this kind of a match, because my God, are they comfortable being who they are?
Oh, for sure. Dylan entering with that with the nightie on and then hiking it up just to show his thigh to the front.
We got
entrances alone were top notch.
Oh yeah, just them coming to the ring. So Mike McSugar comes to the ring and he's lap dancing. I think he lap danced like 3 people in the crowd. Runs into the ring, grabs What About Ivan, the ring announcer, puts him in the corner, just stands on the top rope and just starts like almost humping his face. Like obviously,
gives him
bringing his head back.
Austin Aries Christie hat.
Yep. That's a great way of putting it. And then, like you said, Dylan Stone comes out wearing that nightie, and he looked beautiful. I mean,
his makeup was fantastic too.
Oh, it was so good. Like, you know what? I know that in the context of this, Dylan Stone was working the heel of the match. They were both faces in my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, it was so hard to not cheer for both of them from the stuff they were doing. But let's talk a little bit about some of the spots in this match. Because of this match alone, I'm probably going to have to flag this as being adult. So just swear if you want to, because there's so much goodness that happened in this match. The spot that almost made me spit out my beer. So I'll just go straight to that one. Because it was the funniest spot, because I didn't expect it, was when after the dildo was already down. We'll talk the match obviously, but when the dildo was already down and Stone and McSugar were fighting over it, and it just goes right into referee Ben Omen's mouth. I almost spit my beer everywhere at that very moment. The crowd lost their mind at that. Oh my God, it was funny.
Oh, absolutely. And earlier in the match, they were doing a little bit of a wrestling. I forget what they were wrestling for, but they were battling for something and doing that same sort of thing. And I turned to Mitch, who was sitting between us, and I actually said to him, "Something's going in the referee's mouth tonight."
I can't believe you called that as well as you did, man. I didn't see it coming.
8 to 9 minutes later, Ben Omen took that dildo straight in the mouth.
And then that dildo ended up in the mouth of Mike McSugar and Dylan Stone. And unfortunately for Dylan Stone, that is not the only thing that ended up in his mouth. We'll talk a little bit about this. But there was a purse involved at this match. And the purse contained the 3 items, right? 2 items. It had the lipstick, and then it had the the butt plug attached to a tail, which ended up going into the back of Mike McSugar's shorts, but for 3 atomic drops, which, you know what? Good on the guy. He seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah. No shame there.
This is definitely going to be a rated R1. But, after what I will nickname the insertion, it was removed and it was inserted into the mouth of Dylan Stone. I don't know what McSugar's finishing move is called. I don't, unfortunately, but it was. Let's just say after the match finished, McSugar won. Dylan Stone just laid there with it just sitting in his mouth and a tail just draped over his face. And the visual of that is burned in my mouth. I'm sorry, in my eyes forever. Burned in my mouth. Oh, gross. It's probably burned in his mouth, to be completely honest. But dude, give me some more thoughts on this match.
I don't know where to begin. I loved the use of the purse as a weapon.
Yeah.
It reminded me so much of King of the Hill. That moment where Bobby's kicking everyone in the crotch, screaming, "That's my purse, I don't know you."
I remember that episode. Oh, Bobby. Sorry.
But I like the end too, where Mike McSugar leaves proud with all of the toys, should we call them.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan Stone's left to pull his nightie back on and cover up and do the walk of shame to the back. I thought the ending was handled really well too.
It's great. I think it was like perfect because, you start off the first match. It's the introduction match. It tells a good story. The second match obviously goes hilarious comedy. Like this might, like, in terms of a live match, I've never laughed so hard ever during a match. Like that match was, I don't even know how long the match was, like 15, 20 minutes, something like that, maybe a little bit more.
Something like that.
The entire time, like I had like tears in my eyes. These two not only are just good comedy wrestlers, they're fantastic wrestlers. We can't we can't overlook that Dylan Stone and Mick Sugar as actual wrestlers are also just fucking top notch, man.
Oh yeah.
And so this was a lot of fun. And then it moved on to, I believe it was the Michael Allen, Richard Clark versus Son of Irish match. I believe that was number 2.
You got to say it slower so he can pose with his name.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Michael Allen, Richard Clark. How's that?
Good. I'm glad you're not one of those bus people.
I'm definitely a bus people. I'm sorry, but that was the best chant of the night, or at least one of them, because there was a lot of good chants. But right at the start of this match, people chanting, "We are bus people." That
was a great one.
Michael Allen Richard Clark's character work during this entire match was phenomenal. And I'll be 100% honest, this match tied for my match of the night, because holy crap was this, like, just in terms of like a wrestling match, oh my god, it was good.
It was so good. You got to see just unbelievable raw talent and potential in Son of Irish.
Yes.
And someone who is as polished as Michael Allen Richard Clark is, he really helped Son of Irish shine in that match.
100%. It literally made Son of Irish look like a shining star. Like, so we can just talk about this. Son of Irish is 15 years old. And this kid, like, just watching this match, I would have almost compared this to like a takeover quality match. Like, I was sitting there going, I can't believe I'm seeing this right now, especially something like this out of a 15-year-old kid. And the way that he was working perfectly with Michael Allen Richard Clark. Michael Allen Richard Clark. That, like, just, it felt real. Like, I didn't feel like he was too undersized. The way he worked with Michael Allen Richard Clark worked perfectly.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Plus, since he's a little bit lighter, he hasn't quite filled out yet. Michael Allen Richard Clark was able to do probably my spot of the night, that rolling power bomb backbreaker on his knee.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that finished the match. It so we could just say quickly though that Son of Irish kicked out of the bus cutter. That's very hard to do in Alberta wrestling. He kicked out of the bus cutter. But yeah, that finishing move, that absolutely was probably the move of the night. It was powerbomb backbreaker essentially.
It was so good.
I felt so bad for Son of Irish's back. Wow, did I feel bad. Like, I know he's a lighter guy because, you know, he's 15 and he could, I don't want to say he can take these kind of bumps because I don't think anybody can take these kind of bumps, but he sold it and it looked great and apparently he's fine. So it looked devastating though.
It really did.
Like, I would be surprised if that move would be used by chiropractors moving forward because it would be so good at popping somebody's back.
It was such a good move that as soon as that match was over and before the next match started, I was dreaming about what other wrestlers Michael Allen Richard Clark can pull that move on.
Ooh, do you want to talk about some of them? Because I'm excited to talk about one person who debuted in the very next match. Could you imagine me doing that with... Oh, do you know who I'm going to say?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you say it. I'm going to say it 100% if you're correct. I think you know what I'm going to talk about, though.
Shotgun Sydney?
Yes. Oh, my God. We'll talk about him in the clusterfuck match, but I'm so excited to see him wrestle. My God, am I excited. So, but anyways, let's finish up this match here. So, Michael Allen Richard Clark pins Son of Irish. Son of Irish, he's going to be so good. He's 15. Imagine where he's going to be when he's like 25. 10 years from now, if this kid keeps going the way he's going, if he trains properly, if he keeps, developing his physique out, because obviously, he's still a 15-year-old. And like, if he can keep no broken, like if he doesn't break his neck, this kid is going to go far, man.
I'm definitely knocking on wood on that one too. I don't wish, I hope he has zero injuries.
Me too.
His entire career, but I mean, Michael Richard Blaze started out when he was 15 or 16 as well. And look at where he's come to.
He's like the best in Canada in terms of the indies, in my opinion. And we get to talk about that later as well. This is such a fun show. Oh my God, was this a good show.
right? And MRB's called son of Irish or prodigy. He's said that before, and I have to agree wholeheartedly with them.
Oh yeah, I made a post on it on Twitter today. I called son of Irish prodigy. 100% called him a prodigy.
I'd never seen him live before, and I couldn't believe the stuff he was pulling off at 15. Plus, he's a lot taller than I thought he would be too.
He looked legitimate for a 15-year-old. Like, as far as 15-year-olds go, who's not like a big cowboy kid, you know what I mean? He looked legitimate. Like, he was good.
Yeah. He stood eye to eye with Michael Allen Richard Clark, so.
Yeah. But not bicep to bicep, unfortunately.
No.
Sorry. Anyways, we'll move on from that. We'll move on to the final match before the first intermission. This is not a clusterfuck. This is a tribute battle royale, Royal Rumble-esque type thing. So we'll just kind of give the rules quickly. 2 people started off in the match, and people join randomly whenever they want in whatever sequence. It's a clusterfuck.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start talking a little bit about...
And you're eliminated with pin or submission.
Yes, that you are eliminated with pin or submission. It's not necessarily an over-the-top rope thing. That's not how it works in this case. Yeah. So you have given me the list here because you were nice enough to write it all down to started this. So let's start talking a little bit about it. The PWA Mayhem champion, first person out in this match, who also ended up having, wow, did he have a great match. The Thickness, Reed Matthews. Yeah. He actually probably had my second spot of the night.
Thickness he's a master of these chaotic matches.
Right? How does he always do it? It's like he knows them, he lives them.
Yeah. Like the Battle Royale at Battle at the Dome. He won that. He was brilliant in that. He was at Night of Champions I think it was a 5-way match.
And he was
fantastic in that. He's just this master at these crazy match stipulations.
Yeah, and he was the first in this one. Oh, go ahead.
Just giving the fans this crazy entertainment value that you like. A lot of people go, it's a multi-man match, and they kind of roll their eyes.
Yeah, but and Thickness is the type of person who thrives in these kind of matches.
Mm-hmm.
So he made it into the final 4. Yeah, like he made it to the final 4 of this match, and he was the first guy in. He was followed by Dr. Kyoto, obviously coming to the ring, wearing all the swag in the world. My God, is he I love the look of Dr. Kyoto. That guy is so cool. I mean, obviously he's best known as a manager, but he is so fun to watch. Like, he can get tossed around. He's so good at just being like this, like, type of person who just can take bump after bump and like just sell it really well. You know what I mean? Like that jobber type feel.
Well, even the character work in the match, right? Where he's playing this cowardly little guy that's trying to get away from Thickness. Like he's climbing the steel beams in the building to try to get away from him. He's hiding in the corner while everyone else is beating each other up, and we're trying to egg him on, get into the match, and he's all like, oh no, they don't know I'm here.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, Kyoto, why don't you run in there? And he just looks over. He's like, shh, shut up.
Roll him up. It's your chance.
Oh, it was so great. I love Dr. Kyoto. Once again, get better soon, Dr. Kyoto. Yeah, third person into this match. Oh, go ahead.
He's my favorite character in Alberta wrestling. I know you love Thaddeus, but
yeah,
I see Dr. Kyoto more often, and I think Kyoto is right up there in terms of character work. But
absolutely,
I just see
he's
him
my number
often.
2. He is definitely my number 2. And I love Dr. Kyoto, but I gave it to Thaddeus because that Archer report is so helpful as well. Yeah. So third in was the Spaceman, Barry Grayson. I love the Spaceman. Nobody's ready to fly with the Spaceman.
I can't believe how tall he is, and the fact that he pulled off that frog splash with a ceiling solo.
Yeah, so I think there was maybe 3 inches between his head and the ceiling when he was on the top rope. That's how tall this guy is.
Yeah.
Andre's head would have went through the roof probably, but
But he landed that frog splash perfectly.
Yes, he did. He works really well. He tells a good story. He was the guy who I believe it was Just the Tip, beat Reed Matthews in a 1-on-1. And that was like the first like singles loss that Reed Matthews had in a while. So I went to Barry Grayson. So I love Barry Grayson. He did a fantastic job in this match, and he was also one of the final four. So they're booking him and Thickness just so strong, man.
Yeah.
Next up, Richie Rage doing his return to the ring. Everybody was really behind him when he came out. People popped big time.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him, to be completely honest with you, but it was great to have some guys that I wasn't familiar with in this match and on this card.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. So, like, I also had never seen him wrestle live. I believe this was his first match back after like 3 years or something like that. But I thought he did a great job. Dude's got a good look. He's like built really well.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had Kato coming into the ring. Now, Kato, I love Kato. Dude's got a great look. He does phenomenal work. I got to meet him and talk to him behind the scenes a little bit as well. And he's a very cool guy. We got to play a little. I'm not going to break kayfabe. Never mind.
He's a cool cat, if you will.
He's a cool cat. Wow. Hey, look at you go, Mr. Punny over here. So Kato made his way into the match, followed shortly by Titan and Andre. I kind of want to talk about these guys together because they are by far the behemoths of this match. Like, how would you, I don't even know how much weight you would say is between the two of them. Like maybe 600 pounds almost. At least 500 plus pounds.
Yeah. Easily 500, right? Because both these guys are probably 6'9" or taller.
How crazy is that? These guys are massive, Titan and Andre. So Andre the Giant and Titan, obviously. Titan working alongside the Spaceman Barry Grayson, and Andre, I would say as of late has been mostly working alongside Kayla J and alongside Dylan Stone. I would probably say. So, but Dylan Stone, he had his own match there with the dildo on a pole match. So they had a really cool spot in this match where they were just like in the ring and everybody else is laid out and they just start beating on each other. I always love watching like big guys fight, like just start hammering on each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You see two giants just throw down. Where else can you see that butt wrestling?
Right? You can't anymore. It just doesn't happen these days. I guess like UFC fights and stuff, but usually they're not that big. Like wrestlers have a tendency to be massive.
Yeah.
Followed next by I want to say the smallest person in the match, probably the debuting Baby Teeve. Oh, so there was two refs who made their debut essentially in this match, and I loved both of them. Baby Teeve is MRB's younger brother, so this was just a really cool way to be introduced to Baby Teeve, obviously outside of refereeing, which he's obviously well known for, and he even refed later on in the night. So,
yeah, I thought he did a good job too.
Yeah, he did a really good job
for a first match. I know it's a clusterfuck. It's not a proper wrestling match, but I thought he really held his own in there.
Yeah, I thought he was, he told his spot. He looked like he was at his spots correctly. He told a good story. He had a really couple good moves. Like it just started getting kind of to be chaos by this point because I want to say that nobody was eliminated until everybody was in the match. Does that sound right?
Yes.
So it started getting kind of chaos at about this point.
No, wait. I think Irish Virus might have been eliminated before everyone was in the match.
That's the only person who I could think as well. I think that might be the case. We'll get to that though. So after Baby Teeth, we had the legendary Tex Gaines make his way to ringside to grab a chair, and he had a kendo stick and had a beer, and that was where he liked to camp for the rest of the show, pretty much, or for the rest of the match, pretty much. But it worked so perfectly, though. Obviously, it's Tex Gaines. He's so smart. He's like, what, is he going to get in the ring and fight everybody? He's like, I'm not a fighter. I'm a beer drinker. So he's like, I'm just going to sit with the audience and drink beer. So he's literally sat like 2 feet from me.
Yeah, he's going to sit down, drink some beer, talk trash to Wrestlesode.
Yeah, he did. But in a nice way. He was a nice guy to me, at the very least. But man, he was good at talking trash.
He was a great guy.
Wrestlers. Oh, he's a great
guy. It was all fun.
Oh, yeah. But he had a couple of spots on the outside of the match. He had a spot with Titan that happened a little bit later where Titan, like, hey, what are you doing? You just going to sit out here all night, old man? So he just, like, gets up and he, like, takes the kendo stick and just rams it into Titan's stomach and then just starts wailing on Titan's back with this kendo stick. He hits him, like, 6 or 7 times. Just ruthless hits, too.
Yeah, those were stiff.
They were right in front of us.
Richie Rage came by and picked it up, too, and gave a stiff shot himself.
Yep, that's exactly how that happened. So Tex Gaines, he didn't actually enter the ring until much later on, and we'll get to that. But he had a nice little seat really close to me. We talked. He had a couple of beers. It was really fun. What a cool thing to happen, and to see Tex Gaines in a match like this.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh yeah. Shortly after Tex Gaines entered, we had Kylie Morgan entering. Kylie Morgan, dude, talk about the Naruto walk. Or the Naruto run.
This is honestly probably the top 3 spot in the show, and I was so sad that it didn't make the live stream. But it was Titan and Andre outside with Kato and someone else, and Kylie Morgan wanted to cross these 2 giants, so she just threw her arms back and Naruto ran straight by them.
Us in the audience got to watch it.
It popped me. I laughed so hard at it. I don't know how many people noticed, but it put a huge smile on my face to see that happen.
Oh, yeah, man. It was great. Kylie Morgan, so she makes her way into the ring. To be honest, Kylie Morgan was one of the faces that, like, I didn't actually see a whole lot. I think she was mostly on the other side of the ring. So, like, when I was looking around for spots with Kylie, I didn't get a whole lot of them, unfortunately, which was kind of upsetting. But, so she made her way to the ring, and everybody loves Kylie Morgan, obviously. She's by far the most popular Twitter follow of any of the people in this match on Twitter, because of her also being really big into cosplay and doing really well in cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kylie makes her way into it, and then Taryn from accounting makes her way into the match. Oh, this made me happy, because in my, preview video for this, I had said I had never watched Taryn from accounting match. I had never actually, like, I specifically said I wanted this to be my first Taryn from accounting match. It was so hilarious to see her walk to the ring with, like, a clipboard and everything.
It's the best name in this match by far.
Oh, in this match, absolutely. In terms of names of wrestlers in Alberta, I think she's like number 2 for me, right behind Son of Irish, because for whatever reason, I think that's such a cool name.
Yeah, both of them are really good names. And
yeah.
I didn't know what to expect when I had heard she was announced for this match, but
yeah, I liked her,
she was great. I wish that the chant that Mitch and I tried to start of audit her caught on.
I was there right there with you, man.
I hope that's her finishing move, is the audit or something like that.
Audit her. That'd be great, man. I hope so. We'll have to send her a message and be like, what is exactly your finishing move? And can we call it the auditor? The auditor.
Yeah.
But, so she made her way into the match, and then following by Soraya Sawyer. So this was the first time I had ever seen Soraya Sawyer before. I wasn't too familiar with her. She did really well in this match. She lasted for quite a while. But, once again, she was kind of like in the same spot for me with Kylie Morgan, where she felt like she was mostly always on the other side of the ring.
Yeah. And the biggest spot I remember with all of the women in this match is when they all came in towards the end and you saw just chaos between all of them.
Oh, that was a really fun part. And we'll get to a really cool part that happens here in just a little bit. But what was it? I believe, and my brain isn't necessarily working correctly because there was so much awesome that night. But didn't like all the women surround like Andre in the ring at one point?
Yep.
Yeah. So okay, so that's what it was. Yeah, and they all started attacking Andre because I think there was like 5 women at the time just like beating on him.
Yeah, it was before Kayla got in the ring.
Yes. Well, when she came into the ring, that was one of my spots as well that I thought was amazing. We'll talk about that. So after Soraya Sawyer, the Irish Virus came into the match. No, Irish Virus I was very new to. He didn't, unfortunately, last too long in this match. Apparently, he got caught in the middle of the ring with his shoulders down, trying to do a triangle choke, and he got counted out. But I don't actually know what his time in this match was. But I know he was the first out, and he had the shortest amount of time in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he got sick. He caught a virus.
Well, it's what happens when you try to put a triangle on someone the size of Andre.
And he just lays down on you with the poof.
He just lays down and 1, 2, 3, you're out.
I mean, sometimes when you're new, you got to pick your fights, I suppose, right? Like, just maybe that wasn't the one to try to choke out with Andre. And maybe. Then we had the debuting, and I got to say, I'm so excited for this. Shotgun Sidney, aka referee Houston Moore. My God.
He was a madman.
He was a madman. I love Shotgun Sidney. Like, immediately my brain went, where's his merch? I want a t-shirt that says Shotgun Sidney. Like, so bad. Shotgun Sidney.
I was not expecting any of that.
No, me neither, man. Oh, me neither. I did not expect that at all from him. Because, like, I knew that he was training as a wrestler, obviously. I don't know how much we want to pull the curtain back behind certain things, but his father is Tex Gaines. So, he's a second generation wrestler. So he obviously knows the ring really well. And it showed. Wow, did it show. So there was a spot he did where he climbs up to the top rope and he does like the gun to his head, like shooting his head thing. And like and there's like a whole bunch of people below. He doesn't jump. He doesn't do anything. He just like falls right onto everybody. It was
the delayed senton.
Oh yeah. That's exactly what it was. It was
insane.
It was so good, man. Shotgun City. I think, and don't get me wrong on this one. He may have been the loudest pop of the night. I think, like, in terms of like fan reaction, like I think everybody there was cheering for Shotgun Sidney, like just booming.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in that crowd expected him to do half of the stuff he did in that match.
Yeah, and that would just be like a light way of putting it. Like, this dude was all over this match. And when he came out, the first thing he did is he ran up right behind Tex Gaines because Tex Gaines headed back to the entrance ramp. And he knocked Tex Gaines right out of his chair and just came like running into the ring, just just pumped with energy. And like Tex Gaines is just like laid out. That was so cool too.
Yeah.
It's great to see. Followed by honk, 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 the Canadian Goose, Kyle Shaw. Oh, man. I was so happy he was in this match. I don't know how many times I honked during this match.
Kyle's one of my favorite guys in all of Alberta wrestling.
Me too.
He is the nicest person I think I've met.
I got a chance, and I'll be honest about this, and I'll kind of say this. I got a couple of interviews before the show. I got 4 interviews. I got an interview with Colton Kelly, Kayla J, Kyle Shaw, and of course, now that I'm not thinking about, and Chris Parrish. I got 4 interviews, which will be coming out, and it'll be in a separate video, and I'll kind of compile them together so you guys can get some kind of cool behind-the-scenes stuff. But my God, Kyle Shaw is such a nice guy. Man, is he nice. And we're going to talk about his contributions to this match as well, because they definitely happened, and they made me personally very happy.
Yeah, but I have a good story. The first time I ever saw Kyle get in the ring as the Canadian Goose was at RCW against Heavy Metal.
Right.
And everyone knows that I think Heavy Metal is probably top 3 wrestler in the province.
Right.
With MRB is one of the other ones, and Michael Allen, Richard Clark. Those are my top 3, no particular order.
I'm surprised you didn't say BVD. I know how much of a mark you are for BVD.
I love BVD. I'm totally into that cowboy shit.
Totally into that cowboy shit. All right. But, all right. So you think Heavy Metal's up there with your top 3? Continue.
Yeah. So Goose, Heavy Metal came out, messed with him, and then Kyle Shaw just kind of lost it on the promoter of RCW, Steven Styles. And he went, "Why do you keep hiring all these dicks? Do you know what I do to dicks? I beat them and I leave them limp." And then he went to the back, and Steven Styles was the announcer for the rest of the night, and no one knew what was going to happen with Kyle Shaw. But he came out in his Canadian Goose gear, and crowd loved him.
Oh man, I wish I could have been in the crowd for that. That sounds like the best night. Oh yeah,
great.
People love Kyle Shaw. Let's just put it like this: the Canadian Goose is incredibly over, man. I love the Canadian Goose.
Yep.
Anyways, after the Goose made his way into the match, and the Goose had a huge part in this match. Finally, the second last person to make their way into this match, Kayla J, the Golden Child, who had probably the best first 30 seconds of anybody in the entire match. Like when she made it into the match, she gave about 20 super kicks. She kicked everybody in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so fun to watch. I'm a big fan of Kayla J. She did great in this match. And like a weird thing with like her and Andre and then the Titan with Barry Grayson with like a kind of like weird turn where Kayla J like super kicks Andre and Spaceman. I don't think it was a super kick, but I think he did like a spinning back kick or something like that to Titan and knocked him over kind of a thing. And there was like this moment of like, whoa, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah, no, she totally slipped. She did not mean to kick Andre.
Oh, is that? Oh,
it was an accident.
You think so? Well, you know what? I have an interview with Kayla J coming up here. I'm definitely going to be asking her about that.
Make sure you ask.
Oh, I will. I'm going to write it on this piece of paper that I don't have beside me right now. But I will ask it. And then finally, last into the match, Ava Lawless, once again, somebody that I wasn't necessarily particularly familiar with, but she had a huge impact in this match. Ava Lawless kicked ass.
I think it was her first match.
Yeah, I believe so. And I believe like she was one of the standouts, I guess, in some of those training camps. No wonder why. She's really freaking good.
Yeah, she had a huge contingent of friends, family, followers just to the right of me. As soon as she came out, they just lost it. And her suplexes were brilliant. Fantastic. So crisp.
Oh, they were like, she's clearly like one of those people who, once again, it's just like, there are people where you just watch them and you're just like, where are you going to be in like 2 years? And like, if you're brand new, like if you're just coming out of the camps and you're doing stuff like this, I'd love to see where you are in like a year, because I'm thinking you're going to be putting on some like legit one-on-one matches, man.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah, I hope she gets picked up by RCW or PWA. Or
you just want to say that selfishly so we can watch her down here.
Absolutely. Well, I think she's from Calgary.
Oh, well then absolutely I want that.
The guys to my right, they said they came up from Calgary. So I think she must be from Calgary. So
there you go then. All right, everybody listening to that, hopefully we will be seeing this. So that was the last person to enter this match. And now we have some of the eliminations. Now, we said first off, Son of Irish was, or I'm sorry, not Son of Irish. The Irish Virus was the first person to be eliminated from this. You said you have the list of who eliminated who, correctly? Correct?
Yeah, I don't have the list of the order of eliminations, though.
That's fine. Can you talk about some of the eliminations that happened? Because, like, there were some big name eliminations, and I kind of want to talk about them. Shotgun Sydney was eliminated by the Canadian Goose. And that was like one of those things where like the crowd was really torn. They didn't quite know what to do, right? Like they were like, oh, like we really liked Shotgun Sydney and he was taken out by the Goose.
We love the Goose too.
But we loved the Goose. So people were honking, but it was a kind of a mixed honk. They're like, damn, okay, honk, right?
It was a sad honk.
It was a sad honk. It was like a honk.
Yeah, it was a sad honk.
But who had the most eliminations in this match?
Thickness, I believe. He had 4.
Oh my God.
He eliminated Barry Grayson. He eliminated Kato.
Right.
Kayla J and Ava Lawless.
Oh man, that is a great match for him. And I think he also had one of the spots of the night he did with Shotgun Sydney, where he had like Shotgun Sydney like in almost like a DDT position, and he like flipped him up backwards and like then just like went into a power bomb. And it was just beautiful.
Yeah, the flipping power bomb was really cool. The power bomb into electric chair that he did on Kayla J was brilliant as well. And the thick salt to the outside, right in front of us again.
Yeah, we got super lucky with that. And I just gotta say, like Thickness, like I said, he's such a standout in this, man. And that's why I have a King of Thick style shirt, like literally like 20 feet from me right now.
You didn't buy the Thick as Fuck shirt?
I want one. He had a way better shirt. Like, as much as I love the King of Thick style, I want thick as fuck on a shirt. Really bad.
Yeah, I don't think they were for sale, but
I don't think so, but if they
shirt.
were, I'm getting a thick as fuck shirt, man. Anyway, so this is definitely getting flagged, so that's fine. But talk about some more of these eliminations here.
Kato had a couple.
Okay.
So, but mainly Soraya Sawyer was that one that stood out.
Right.
For that. In Andre, I just wrote down they were eliminated by everyone.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, because I think like 6 people per person was being used to pin Andre
they just,
at the same time.
Everyone piled on top of them, and they just couldn't kick out.
Man, we just gotta say, man, how this is like literally match 4 of like, what was it, 8 matches? This was this was such a good freaking pay-per-view. It's not even a pay-per-view. I'm calling it a pay-per-view. It felt like a pay-per-view, didn't it?
It felt like it felt the closest I've seen to a PWG or Defy show in Alberta.
That's a great way of putting it, dude. Man, you're like all over these analogies tonight. But so let's come down to the final 4. The final 4 in the match were the Canadian Goose, Tex Gaines, Barry Grayson, and the Thickness Reed Matthews. There was a point in the ring where Thickness, Reed Matthews, and Barry Grayson were fighting each other, and they get a double pin on one another because they were both covering each other. I didn't notice that in the actual match at the time, so that was kind of weird for me because I was like, "Oh, what happened?" But that was when Tex Gaines finally got into the ring, and he's holding that kendo stick, and he's just looking down the Canadian Goose. And let's just put some context there. The Canadian Goose has only ever won 1 match in his entire career, and he didn't win it. It was a 6-man tag match where his teammate got the pin. He never has actually won a match himself. So Tex Gaines goes right up to the Canadian Goose, and the Goose just punches him across the face. Tex Gaines just falls like a sack of bricks, pins him, boom, 1, 2, 3. The Goose wins, and everybody starts honking, man.
Oh, it was a beautiful finish. It's such a clusterfuck of a match.
I would never have pinned the Goose to be the winner of this clusterfuck match. Like I said, I mean, I gave it to Dr. Kyoto because Dr. Kyoto was undefeated. But like, if you're looking at like the real people, like when you were looking at this entire list of people who could win this match, a couple stood out to me, specifically the Thickness, Barry Grayson, Kayla J. I think like those 3 especially really kind of stuck out as people who would have the best chances of winning this match. And I mean, the fact that he came out of left field and they punched you with the Canadian Goose, I was left honking.
Yeah, I was hoping for Barry to get it though.
Yeah, you were going for Barry Grayson. Right. That was your pick on this one.
That's who I was hoping. That's who I was hoping would win it. But Kyle Shaw, the Canadian Goose, winning it, absolutely no.
Yeah,
complaints.
You can't even be upset about that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, what a good win for him. So let's move on. Next, we're going to the final match. No, that was the final match before the first intermission. We had the intermission here. I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes, which was really good. And then we move in to the Imitation Game match. Y2 Jack Pride versus Davio Batista. Let's just start off. My God, did they nail these entrances, man?
The entrances were absolutely perfect.
They were spotless, man. I loved both of them. So it starts off, Davio Batista coming. He has, and I think I even told you during the match this, Davio Batista is such a Batista lover that he even sells like Batista.
Yeah, he does.
Like when I was watching him sell, I was like, he is selling just like Batista. This is perfect. He had it down. They had entrance when he did the machine guns, when he pumped his arm and everything. I was so into it. This match was just, it was a great representation of just these 2 characters, Batista and Chris Jericho. And then Jack Pride enters second. This crowd was hot for Chris Jericho, Y2 Jack Pride. Like, they were firmly behind Y2 Jack Pride in this match. So
how can you not?
Right? Especially we're in Canada, right? Like, it's impossible Like we're in Alberta.
Jericho's the GOAT.
Jericho,
come on.
He's a GOAT. He is the GOAT, man. I love Chris Jericho. He's by far one of the greatest of all time. Anyways, he comes out. The lights shut down. They shut off the ramp lights. Like boom, his jacket turns on. He's got a Y2J jacket. It turns green, and he's got a list of Jericho in his hand, and he's like kind of like turning it around. And then he comes out, Break the Walls Down is playing. And everybody loses their friggin' mind, man. I just loved this match. And they did such a good job. At the very beginning, we saw Y2 Jack Pride put Davio Batista on the list, which I loved. We know for a fact that Chris Jericho was made aware of this match. Whether or not he ended up watching it, I don't know the answer to this question. But I really hope he did, because it was just tons of fun.
Yeah. I think he would have really appreciated how good it was.
Yeah.
If he got the chance to watch.
Right. And I mean, I don't have any confirmations for something like that, but it would be cool to learn something like that in the future. But regardless, both of these guys, they did everything they could to hit everybody's move. Like, they hit it perfectly. We saw Code Breakers. We saw Moonsaults. We saw Lion Tamers. We saw Batista Bombs. I was just like a little kid. I was so happy.
How good was Jack's Lion Salt, though?
It was literally perfect. It was Chris Jericho.
Picture perfect.
Like, he clearly knew what he was doing. He hit those ropes. He flipped back. Didn't miss a beat, man. It looked like a Jericho Lion Salt.
No, it was picture perfect.
Or Lion Tamer. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm mixing up all my words now. But yeah, it was picture perfect. And then, right at the very end, He puts him in the walls of Jericho. I guess it was the Lion Tamer, technically. See, now I'm mixing up my words perfectly. Yeah, that Lion Tamer, when he had him on the side there, I remember what you're saying now. My brain was thinking the Moonsault. Yeah, when he had him in the Lion Tamer at the very end, it was perfect. He was like cranked all the way to the side. Davio Batista had to tap, man.
Yeah, knee right in the upper back. It was a beautiful Lion Tamer.
This is one of those matches I want to go back and watch the VOD just over again, because I want to see how it actually looked. I haven't had a chance to watch all the matches back. This is one of the ones I want to see how it ended up looking with like the commentary and everything. And before we finish, let's just talk a little bit about the commentary. Let's give like a big shout out to Mike the Ref Maloney, Big Bad Boris, and Sean Moore for putting on great commentary and doing a great job with the production of this match. The show. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Sean Moore. I haven't watched all of the show back yet, but Sean Moore, I wish he was wrestling on it, but he was a great commentator.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He was definitely playing more of a heel on it, and I think he did a perfect job with it. Like he hit the right cards, I would say. But anyway, so with this match finished, we had Y2 Jack Pride winning. Davio Batista. I want to say Davio Doyle, obviously. Davio Batista. But everybody did a fantastic match, or fantastic job. And I can't wait to see more of these guys wrestle, to be honest.
I do wish someone yelled, "Oh, Batista rules," just in honor of Davio Doyle's regular name.
Right? I mean, we'll just say that it was Jack Pride and Davio Doyle. I don't know if we actually gave the correct names, but huge props to those guys. They did one hell of a job in this Imitation Game match.
Yeah.
After this, we had Zoe Sager versus Nicole Matthews. Now, my God, these two could put on a hell of a good match. It still blows my mind how relatively new Zoe Sager is and how good she is, man.
I agree. Zoe, she's a lot like Cody Chimera in that for how little experience she has.
Yeah,
she's mind-blowingly good.
So good with it. Exactly. She's mind-blowingly good. And let's also say here, Nicole Matthews, she worked the crowd as a heel really well. She knew how to work the crowd. She has her mannerisms in the ring down perfectly. She knew when to press everybody's buttons. I love Nicole Matthews, man.
Nicole is absolutely world-class.
100%. There is a reason why she was in the Mae Young Classic. This match ended up going to Nicole Matthews. There were so many good spots, though. But like, this was one of those matches where like I had a hard time taking notes. Like, I was just really enthralled with the match. I didn't want to like look down and take all my notes. It's like, my God, I can't look away.
It was too good to waste time making notes.
Yeah, exactly. And then right at the end there, that I think you told me it was called the Vancouver Maneuver, Nicole Matthews' finisher. Perfect name. She hits that. It's essentially like a crossroads on Zoe Sager and gets the win. And like this match was just like 15 to 20 minutes of just like pure amazing wrestling.
Yeah, it was probably the best pure wrestling match besides Michael Allen, Richard Clark, and Son of Irish.
Yeah. I think in terms of like just like going out and having like just a perfect one-on-one, these were just great examples. Michael Allen, Richard Clark, and Son of Irish, Zoe Sager, and Nicole Matthews. It was great for the one-on-one matches, man. And I like that weren't the Imitation Game, obviously. Like just like the pure one-on-one wrestling match. This was top notch. I can't say enough good stuff, honestly, about Zoe Sager and Nicole Matthews, man. Like I could just go on for hours. There's a reason why I chose Zoe Sager as my female wrestler of the year and almost had her in my breakout star of the year as well. But I'm like, I voted for Jack Pride.
You got to spread the love around a little bit.
You do, right? I'm like, it's like everybody deserves something, right? Like, to be honest, if there was enough categories, everybody would win something because everybody's got something unique and amazing about them.
Definitely. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Then after Zoe Sager and Nicole Matthews, not to like to say undervalue that match because it was really good. We had my other tied for match of the night. BVD, Brandon Van Danielson versus Michael Richard Blaze versus Artemis Spencer in a triple threat elimination. Holy fuck match was this good.
Yeah, this was my match of the night.
Yeah, this was your match of the night. That doesn't surprise me. The storytelling in this, so it was a bit weird at the beginning. I was confused, like, why are you guys breaking up pins on each other? But they use that as the actual story later on. But let's just say everybody knew their role in this match and everybody executed it perfectly. Brandon Van Danielson did fantastic as the big guy who would come in and just start knocking people down. And Michael Richard Blaze and Artemis Spencer felt like they were mirror forces in this ring. You know what I mean? Like if one did one, the other person could do it just as well. And it just always felt like the same person was wrestling in two bodies. Yeah.
And the crowd was so hot for everyone in this match.
There was parts where like I think everybody was chanting like, and this was unfortunately was after Brandon Van Danielson was eliminated, but people were chanting both these guys. But we can't undervalue Brandon Van Danielson in this match.
Yeah, normally I don't like that chant. I think people should it's always more fun when you have two opposing forces chanting against each other instead of having both these guys chant. But this match was definitely one where I got caught up in it and was chanting both these guys.
Yeah, and it was hard not to because, like I said, they were like a mirror force of each other because when it came down to Michael Richard Blaze and Artemis Spencer just in the ring together by themselves, like they were literally doing the exact same moves back and forth. They started off with those clotheslines back and forth and they couldn't best one another. Then they came back and they hit that like running Spanish fly that was in the center of the ring. So good. But let's talk about how Brandon Van Danielson was eliminated in this match because it played into what I was talking about with the why are you breaking up pins and everything, because for the entire match, if somebody was pinning somebody or somebody was trying to tap out the other person, somebody would come in and break it up. And there was a part towards the middle of the match when Artemis Spencer had BVD in kind of like an STF. I couldn't quite see it from my angle, but then MRB comes up and he's about to break it and then he realizes it's like, what am I doing? And so he gets in there and he starts putting a submission on BVD. So there's like a double submission that they need both of them to tap out BVD.
Yeah, it makes BVD look like exactly what he is, just this monstrous, strong force, which is going to knock you on your ass.
And everybody in this match was working stiff, man. Like you could tell the comfortability that MRB and BVD have together because like when they would slap each other, it was a slap. Like they weren't cutting it down. They're like, hit me hard. And you could tell, you know what I mean? Oof. Mm-hmm. I would not want to get slapped by any of these guys. Yeah, man. There was that one slap. I can't remember where it was in the night. Somebody did a chop and it echoed like it boomed through the room. Do you remember what it was? There was this one chop. I can't quite remember. I remember the sound though. I think it was No. It was Nicole Matthews hitting those chops on Zoe Sager. Those chops were crazy.
Yeah. Nicole just beat up Zoe Sager.
I think I made the joke at the match. I was just like, "Oh, it's Nicole Kabashi now."
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Yeah, but, when she had her bent over her knee and just...
Oh, yeah. Anyways, that was in the Nicole Matthews Zoe Sager match, but my God, it was so good. But yeah, this MRB and then Artemis Spencer like working together at the end, it was beauty, man. Like they put on a clinic. They put on what like professional wrestling is on a takeover. They put on I can't quite say it was like a Gargano Ciampa match because it didn't feel like a Gargano Ciampa match. But when when it was all said and done, like I had the same amount of energy like flowing through my veins. Like I felt just as pumped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that match wouldn't have been out of place at a PWG Battle of LA.
No,
or an
absolutely.
AEW show or a NXT show.
Or a Defy World Championship match, or you know what I mean? Like any of these things. That was such a good match.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
absolutely.
Those three, they put on such a clinic. And I really can't undervalue what BVD did in this match, because while he was in this match, he was very dominant, and he was a monster looking guy who he powerhoused his way through everybody. We really cannot undervalue what BVD did in this match. But after this match, you needed to take that mental break. Everybody was tired after something like that. We got our second intermission before we moved on to the final match. Oh my God, the death match. Okay, so let's just start off.
I got to give a shout out to Gabriel though, because he came by and told us, guys, there's going to be glass flying here. You might want to move. Yeah.
So unfortunately, the Omen Gabriel Lestat was injured, but yeah, what a nice guy coming in.
It's great to see him there.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. To be honest, the Omen, one of the best people you'll ever meet. Like, such a good guy. Yeah, he came by. He's like, hey guys, like, just step back. This is going to be bad. And like, you know what? It was bad in the best way. Those three men. So let's talk about them. Sheik Akbar Shabazz, Evan Adams, Colton Kelly. They gave us literally their blood, sweat, and tears in this match. Like, definitely.
Yeah.
How do you start off this match? Okay, so everybody came to the ring with a different type of weapon. We had Colton Kelly coming to the ring. He had, I believe, it was a broomstick with barbed wire around it. Does that sound correct?
I think that was Sheik.
Was that Sheik? Yeah, that's right. That was Sheik. Sheik made it to the ring with a broomstick with barbed wire around it. Very Kenny Omega. What a little call to Kenny Omega there. Evan Adams made his way with Thaddeus Archer III, and Thaddeus had
light tube on a kendo stick.
Yes, light tube on a kendo stick, and no, I think Thaddeus just had a stick with the light tubes on it, but Evan Adams had the kendo stick with the light tubes on it, which was attached to it, and then Colton Kelly came to the ring with the same thing that like Thaddeus had. It was just like a kendo. It was like 4 light tubes like taped together as like a weapon.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't think Colton Kelly needed a weapon.
No.
He is tough as nails.
They're all tough as nails. We'll give it to this. Colton Kelly, though. Okay, so we'll just say quickly, the amount of blood spilled in this match was not for the faint of heart. I think at least 50 light tubes were used during this match. There was a board with barbed wire all over it that Thaddeus Archer III got powerbombed into. There was street signs. There was records broken. There was glass everywhere. And there was blood everywhere.
Barbed wire all over the ropes.
Barbed wire wrapped around the ropes. There were so many spots where people were getting tossed into it and then just had to stop short. I believe Evan Adams, though, he took a legit, like, right into the barbed wire throw from the toss.
Yeah, towards Evan the end Adams, of the match, he took that bump legit.
Yeah, I think Evan Adams, like, he really went out of his way to put on, like, just to show how crazy this guy could be, because not only did he, like, go into the barbed wire, but like he broke a light tube over his own head because at the time Sheik Akbar Shabazz and Colton Kelly were not in the ring, and he was pumped and needed to break the light tube, so he just smashed it over his own head. The match started 3 in each. Oh, go ahead.
I absolutely loved that.
Yeah,
just him smashing the light tube over his own head, showing just how sick and deranged his character is.
Oh, dude, I was scared of Evan Adams after this match. Like I haven't seen this guy wrestle live before, and I'm so sad about that because this guy won me over immediately in this match. Like, he was good. And the fact that he was brought to the ring by Thaddeus Archer III, that just makes it even better to me. But These guys were crazy. So it starts off, 3 of them standing in a triangle. They all have a light tube. They all break it over one another. There was blood in this match literally within the first 30 seconds of this match. I saw it first on Sheik Akbar Shabazz, who by the end of it, his back, him and Evan Adams, their backs were literally all blood.
Yeah, the photos of both of them out there on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere, crazy.
Like I said, people, if you're not good with death matches, if you don't like blood, do not watch this. Don't even listen to this. But for those of you who are listening, this match left an impression on me. I will never forget this match. I guess you know what they say, you never forget your first death match. And now I understand why. I was and we have to say that the refs in this match, because they had all 3 refs out there, I believe. I believe Ben Oman was out there, Baby T was out there, and Houston Moore was out there. And we got to give a big shout out to those 3 because they worked tirelessly to make sure that glass was broken down. It was off the ring. It was under the ring. It was out of people's ways. People weren't getting hurt. They were not stop moving during this entire match. On top of their normal ref duties, they kept everybody safe, and they did a phenomenal job with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, big on that. I love that spot, though, where Thaddeus Archer III gets, power bombed. Or was it power bomb or choke slam? I can't quite remember. I think it was a choke slam.
I think it was a choke slam.
Yeah, I think it was a choke slam, and he gets choke slammed right into barbed wire, and his legs just start twitching. Oh, the character work that he does, man. He knew what he was doing. And, he looked so disheveled by the end of the match. Everybody was just, they beat the hell out of each other, man.
Oh, man. Some of those spots, though, when Sheik got that door out.
Oh, yeah.
The razor's edge to Colton Kelly on this door that has no give.
No,
doesn't break, doesn't budge an inch.
It's like a 4-inch thick door. It was a thick door. It doesn't move at all. And Colton, boom, just goes right into it, man. Just
bounces off of it. The ladder, when they brought the ladder in and put it on the 2 chairs, and Colton Kelly sneaks in and puts a couple more light tubes on there because there hadn't been enough smashed at that point. And Sheik takes the power bomb through the light tubes, through the ladder.
Oh man, it was
this was a war.
This was a war. So I can't say this was the best wrestling match of the night because I look at this, there's no way I could give this a 5-star match. But if I will say this is by far the easiest match to remember and probably will be the most memorable match.
I'd agree. It was a total spectacle.
It was something like I said, if you don't mind blood, watch this match because it was such an interesting story. This was my first ever death match. I don't know if this was your first ever death match, but damn, death matches are scary, man. Yeah,
I'm glad we moved away.
Yeah, right. We're not dealing with that anymore.
Distance.
Yeah, I'm glad we were because by that point we were right up against the back wall. We were right behind. You could see us on the live feed. We were right there. And during that match, Glass hit that wall 100 times. So yeah, I'm glad we were.
Did you see the tweet from Mike D? He the guy from
I know Mike
Saskatchewan. I think he came up for the show.
Ducey.
He had safety glasses because he was sitting in the front row on the camera side. Put on safety glasses for that match.
Smart. That's so smart.
Yeah,
eh?
Smart dude.
Smart dude.
Smart dude.
I didn't have safety glasses. I just walked to the back and I was like, I'll watch it from here. I'm plenty fine with that. I could see blood. I could see people painted red from 30 feet away. I was plenty okay. So,
yeah.
But, anyways, man, that was and so that ends. Colton Kelly wins. The 3 of the men stand in the ring holding each other's arms up, drenched in blood. It was like a scene out of Carrie.
Yep. And Colton, his arm early in the match got cut up.
Yeah.
And you could see through the match, he's taping it up just so he can continue to beat up the other 2 guys.
He's a beast, man. Colton Kelly, if you couldn't think of him as a legit badass before this match, there's no way you couldn't after. I like he's talked on interviews before. He says, you know, he's not a deathmatch guy. He considers himself more of a hardcore guy. He can be a fucking deathmatch guy. He clearly could.
Oh, hands down.
I hope he doesn't, though. Let's just say, I hope his longevity is there. I'd rather him be a hardcore guy than a deathmatch guy, but he's fucking tough as nails, man.
He's a good enough wrestler that he doesn't have to do either.
He doesn't. He could just do legit top of the card shit anywhere.
But if he's going to give good hardcore matches, I'm not going to complain, because I think hardcore wrestling is a bit of a lost art.
I would love to see like a Mick Foley in his prime versus Colton Kelly match. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It would be crazy.
Oh, the things that those two would have done. Anyway, so that does it for this show, man. Like I'll just be the first to say it. This was the best live show, like in terms of like the wrestling and like the atmosphere and everything around it, that I have ever been to.
Yeah, it parallels the big shows I've been to. It parallels AAW in Chicago. It parallels Defy in Seattle. The environment was second to none. The crowd was hot. The wrestling was incredible. The show was so varied. There was something for everyone in this show.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Like everybody from like Jim Cornette to I don't
Joey
know.
Ryan.
To a Joey Ryan. Exactly. There's a perfect example. There's the polar opposite. Everybody had something in this match they could enjoy, because like a Jim Cornette, look at those pure wrestling matches, like that Zoe Sager, Nicole Matthews match. If you look at like the Michael Allen, Richard Clark versus Son of Irish match, he would have loved stuff like that. Joey Ryan, that clusterfuck, that dildo on a pole match, that shit would have been right up his alley. There was so much for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So. But yeah, I have no doubts in saying that if there's a Clandestine Society Act II, that God, I hope I get another invite.
I'm right there with you. I hope I get invited.
I'll pay for an invite. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was that good. Like, that was such a good show. Like, I'd have paid for that. I'd have paid good money for that too. So
yeah.
But anyways, that does it for the Clandestine Society Act I. Paul, plug your YYC Wrestling Hub. Plug what you do, man.
So we share our opinions and information about Calgary wrestling events. We're slowly starting to branch out into other areas surrounding. We're going to talk a little bit more about Lethbridge wrestling, a little bit more about Edmonton and Red Deer as well in this coming year. But you can find us on Twitter at YYC Wrestling Hub. I think if you just Google YYC Wrestling, we are now the top result somehow.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy to me, but I'm sure Anthony will probably verify that.
I can totally verify that right now. Let me double check for you, but keep chatting away.
So we rate matches. We give Match of the Night awards. We love to help promote Alberta wrestling and promote the talents that really make Alberta wrestling special. So if there's any talent that's listening to this podcast right now, reach out to us, talk to us, tweet us, DM us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to work with you in promoting you and what you guys do, because you are the stars. You give us incredible shows and incredible entertainment value, and you deserve the appreciation and the respect for doing so.
Really well said, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, and that goes for me as well. If there's anybody out there, if you guys want to be on my show, just send me a message. I'm 100% happy to bring you on here. I want to be putting over talent as much as anybody else, right? I want to grow the whole scene around here. I want to show just how good Alberta wrestling is, man. But so thank you for that. With that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys liked this. The Clandestine Society Act I was out of this world. It was one hell of a show. And if you were there, you know, if you watched it, you understand. If you weren't there, I hope that you are involved somehow next time, being it there or watching it, because you really can't miss this. It was a top-notch show, top of the top. So anyways, if you liked what you listened to here today, Remember to hit that like button and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. You guys can check me out on Twitter at Wrestlesode or at facebook.com/Wrestlesode. You guys can check me out at my website at wrestlesode.com. Or you guys can check me out, obviously, the best places at wincombesports.ca to be kept up to date on everything happening in the world of wrestling here in Alberta. Paul, once again, thank you so much for joining me, buddy, here today to talk Clandestine Society. I'm sure we'll be having you on again here very soon because I feel like we're going to be seeing each other a lot.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
Appreciate you having me, Anthony.
Cheers, buddy. You hope you have yourself your wonderful night, and everybody listening, I hope you all have yourself a great day.